Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Okay, this series is going to be called Land Navigation, and I'm going to try to explain to you how to navigate with a compass and map. It is a very complex issue. It is complex because over time, see, the original discovery in ancient times was they found out that a thin piece of metal treated a certain way became magnetized, although they didn't know what that was, and it would align itself and point towards some mysterious force over that way. Because of that, they were able to navigate with it because it always pointed in the same direction, and they could get a reference point to which way they were going off of it. As they moved from where they were at to other places on the planet, they found it didn't point the same every time, and they had to come up with a new rule or some new way to adjust to compensate for this variation. It was only much later we understood the why there's a variation. So using a compass and land navigation can be very complex. Now, when I first started doing it officially, was training for the U.S. military, and they gave us a FM 21-26, I think it was a 25 back in them days. This is a revised edition. And it tried to explain to us how to navigate with a map and compass. Well, the U.S. military and militaries around the world require very precise locations because you're going to be calling in artillery fire. You're going to be getting a helicopter to pick you up. You're going to need to get on top of that mountain, not close to it, that mountain. And because of that, they need to be very precise. And so that book is written in a very complicated language. And even then, you know, it amazes me how so many of these compass and navigation books I've seen, they must have a thesaurus at the right elbow because they're trying to use $10 words that you don't need. I'm going to use common man language to you and try to explain it to you as best I can. Now let me say right off the top, I am no super expert. I am fully confident to navigate anywhere on this planet, and I have done a lot of navigation. However, I sit on the line and I don't have to do any declination. I'll explain that in a minute. And because of that, my compass work has been where I don't have to adjust the compass, use it as is. Now if I was to go to Upper Canada or go to Maine or something like that, I would have to adjust. Just like those ancient mariners and those ancient people, when they went to other lands, suddenly discovered they had to change the way they use their compass, I would have to modify as well. So, let's begin with the basic principle of what is a compass. We're going to get into actual compasses there in a minute, but what is a compass? A compass is usually a thin piece of metal, a needle, a plate, or whatever, that has been magnetized. And it is aligning itself with the Earth's magnetic field. The Earth's magnetic field is generated by our core spinning within our planet, making basically like static electricity. And this flows out of the planet at the northern pole, comes down, and then goes back in at the southern pole in a circular motion. Okay? This completely surrounds the planet in this magnetic field. Now, think of it like a flag in a wind. It will turn to line up with the wind. Well, the needle on a compass will line up with this magnetic wind that we can't see or feel and always point toward the magnetic north of the planet. Notice that I said magnetic north because the magnetic North Pole is not the North Pole of the planet, like Santa Claus North Pole. It's actually 800 some odd miles south, north of Hudson Bay, Canada. And because of that, people get confused by these terms like true north, grid north, magnetic north. I'm going to explain them to you, one at a time. But for right now, understand that as that magnetic field circles the planet, this needle lines up and is giving you a reference point that way. And depending on where you're at on the planet is how far off of true north it points. because let's say I'm making up a number here, guys. Let's say that I'm on the west coast and it actually points toward Hudson Bay. Say it's like 10 degrees off, or whatever it truly is. Now I have to incorporate that 10-degree shift to go north. And I'll show you how to do that. As we try to navigate from A to B, what we're really trying to do is keep a reference point of where we're at, where we're wanting to go, and how to get back to where we started, or our final destination if it's a one-way trip. There are many methods, and there are many complicated rules to understand. We're going to deal with them one at a time. So, let me readjust the camera, and I'm going to show you some compasses, and we're going to talk about compasses. Stay with me, be right back. Okay, compasses. There are many, many styles, many different types. Some of them are very complex, some of them are very simple. And so what we're going to start with is a type of compass called a lensatic compass. Now this is designed for map reading. And I'll show you that in 1 second, as soon as I get them all dug out here. Okay. This is a lensatic compass. Notice it has a clear base plate so that I can see through it into a map when I'm laying it up there. It has a movable ring on the outside of the chamber where the needle is. It has a brightly lit needle that you can see, and it also has some markings along the edge for determining distance and measurements on a map. It's also got a nice long cord. Now, this is a magnet. That's one thing you must understand. Being a magnet, metal coming in contact will cause the compass needle to move. Not just the magnetic wind, but metal can do it. So, I don't know if you can see this sideways or not, but the needle will turn to face the closest steel. So if I'm sitting here and holding my knife in my hand when I do it, it's going to point at the knife. I have to get this away from metal. So the first rule you need to understand is no metal within 2 feet of the compass. So make sure you're not wearing a big old heavy bracelet or something like that that can affect it. Brass and things will not affect the compass. Steel will. If in doubt, touch it to the side of the compass and see if the needle moves. If it does, don't get it near the compass. Okay, you want to hold the compass out here in front of you and allow the compass to naturally align. Some people prefer this method of putting a finger on either side, locking your thumbs behind it, and doing like this as a way of carrying the compass. Military teach this as a low hold or a holding the compass out here like this. You put your elbows against your chest to get it out here away from your body so it is not affected by the metal you have on you, and then you take your sighting. Okay, now another type of compass is a pocket compass. This type of compass, like this, is used for direction finding and to keep you from walking in a circle. This type of compass can be, but is not really suited to navigation on a map because it does not make it easy for you to line it up on the map or keep it lined up. These square edges on this do line up well on a map, and so therefore I'm able to coordinate this with my map and turn the map, turn the compass. This being rounded, I don't have any way of really doing that. I'm kind of guesstimating. Okay for short distance, but over long that error would cause a big problem. Okay, this is the navigation compass that I use mostly when I'm out there in the field, and you saw it in my recent video about staying warm. And it is a Silva guide model 426, 428. I ain't got my glasses on. But it's got a reflective mirror in it, and the mirror is very good for lots of things. Signaling, it can also be used for first aid, and it also is supposed to be used to show you the reverse azimuth, so you can line it up and see the reverse number when you're trying to figure your way back. I'll get to that when we go into actually using it. But this is the compass that I use. It's also got a sighting notch up here so that I can spot a target way off in the distance. This versus the lensatic like this one does not have a sighting notch. And so if I'm trying to sight a target way over yonder, I got to hold it up here at eye level, you know, and basically look across the top of the thing and point it at a target over yonder. This one has a nice little sighting notch on top just for that. The military type Kaminga stands up and it's got a front with a wire in it, and then in the back it's got a thing, and that's a sighting compass like a gun sight for long range. I also have a complex compass here. This one I got, it's from some foreign military. And it's really a little more bells and whistles than I need. It has a map meter on it, an inclinometer on it, and it has that sighting system I talked about where you can do like this, angle it and see the dial really well, and you got a precision marker inside there that allows you to see various things at distance. It's a very good compass. It's overkill for what I'm doing. Okay, I use it when I'm doing serious orienteering, and most time not needed. The basic lensatic compass or my guide will do the job. So, what kind of compass do you need? For this, what I'm going to be teaching you, you're going to need a lensatic compass that you can be used on a map. Buy a name brand. Now, you don't have to rush out and buy a $70 compass. A compass does not have to be that expensive, but it does have to be a compass that you can count on. I like this one. This was under $25. Like I said, the Silva Guide. I like it because it's got the sighting mirror. I got the sighting notch. It's got a fully floatable lens bezel on it, and it rides very compactly in a pocket and it don't weigh much. For map reading, one of these compasses will be fine. This is the super cheapy one you can find at Walmart. This is not a good compass, and I tell you why. It looks like it would be. It's got a clear base plate, it's got a magnifying glass on it, but you can sit here and wiggle the compass and it doesn't hold up. You can just lightly bump it and the dial just spins. So it is not good for navigation. When you go to get your compass, I did in an earlier video something I talked about called nailing the compass. And what that means is seeing how sensitive the compass needle is. What you want to do is hold the compass out here where you can see it, you know, no metal anywhere near it, and then you want to take a piece of metal. A 16 penny nail works fine. Anything with metal that's magnetic. Come up here and see how close you can get to it and make that needle move. Not all compasses are made alike, even name brand ones. And so when I go to buy a compass, I prefer to be able to pick it up and look at it. Like this one. I want it to be sensitive enough that when I get out here at least 10 inches away, it starts to move a little. If I can do like that and rock it, I want it to wiggle a little bit. That tells me it's sensitive and it'll be free and quick to sling into position rather than it having a problem. Okay? Alrighty? That's the basic idea of compasses. Now, next one we're going to talk about maps, and then we're going to put all these pieces together. Stay with me. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, here's a close-up of the compasses. I hope you can see that. And I want to show you how they can be affected by metal. Now, this thin little blade doesn't have enough steel hardly, but I can make it swing a little, see? Hardly any on that one, which is a super cheap one. This is a Silva. It does move, and I can move my good compass fairly easy with it. Now, just using a nail or something is more than sufficient to get it to swing, and that's what you want. You want it to swing over and adjust to whatever it is that you're showing it. Okay? better look at it up close. This is the Silva Guide that I recommend. This is the Silva Lensatic that I do most of my map reading with. This is the super cheapy at Walmart with a too loose a bezel that you're just going to bump and it's going to spin like a top. And then my pocket compass that I use for just basic navigation to keep me from walking in a circle.